Oh, hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It is just Marco here once again. If you're wondering why I'm talking like this, it's because this movie is structured in such a way where this is how the plot, in quotes, feels. So I thought I should give you the experience of the movie. If you find this talking irritating, then I have good news. I am not going to continue to talk like this because it would be really, really boring and annoying and stupid, just like this movie. I don't know what it is. It's January, and it's a January. I've seen 3 or 4 great movies this month. One of them, probably one of the best movies ever in terms of 80s movies, and then I've seen 1 good movie, but then I've seen 4 really bad movies, plus the bad one that just came out, the racing movie, and it's a January, that's for sure. I've had digestive issues too, and I'm trying to figure out what it is, because I really think, because I had this all figured out in October of last year, where, I take probiotics and I take a certain kind and it's a certain amount, and then I switched, and then I started feeling sick again, and then I switched back, and then, I was taking the probiotics out of this bottle, but recently at Kroger we got a box. So it's a box with the pills inside of this sheet thing. And ever since I've started taking those instead of the pills that were in a bottle, I'm feeling sick again. And so I genuinely think that taking somehow it says it's the same exact recipe. It's supposed to be the same exact product from the same company, but somehow it is nowhere near the same or something. And so that's really weird. So I just wanted to mention that because and I'm sick now with that too, after just getting better. My winter virus thing that I had since December 6th, and so now I have this again. And so I'm going to try tomorrow to take some probiotics out of the bottle. And I'm saying this too because this is so much more interesting than the actual movie. This movie was so dull, it was so boring, it was so bad. And I'm telling you guys, I only watched this because Lily Gladstone was in it, and I'm going to watch all of her stuff no matter how bad it is. And this movie, it was so boring. I was fighting the urge to fall asleep the entire movie, except for the part where Lily comes on screen for she's in the movie for 6 minutes or so, and that's the only good part of the whole movie because she's the best actress there, and she's the only person who's actually interesting to watch. And, you also get to see something that I never expected to see, that I'm very happy that I watched this movie for. So, this movie is called, and I haven't even said the title yet, too. That's bad review etiquette. This movie's called, what was it called again? Oh, yeah, Winter in the Blood. It's a good title. It's unfortunate that the movie's not very good, like the title, because this movie's all about this guy, and he's sad. That's the movie. I just gave you the whole movie. You got it? I'm serious. That is the whole movie. Like, they make movies like this. Movies like this exist. What's the plot? The main character, he's sad. His name's Virgil. He's a sad guy. Like, that's the movie. I don't even need to say anything else. You've already learned everything I learned while watching this crappy movie. I mean, I was, like, struggling. And on top of that, like, what made it even worse is that I really like playing games while I watch things sometimes, especially when said things are terrible. And for the past, ever since, like, 2010, so that was 14 years ago, I've been playing Roblox, which I really enjoy a lot. And recently I had this issue. It was like at the start of the month, and I couldn't get it to launch. And then I tried to reinstall it, and it didn't work. And so for the past like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, I've been trying to get it fixed again. And these people are like the worst customer service people on the planet, because I've spent these entire weeks doing these experiments trying to get it to work on my old Mac computer that's from 2013, and nothing worked. And then they said, look, if your Mac is a 10.10 or later, Roblox will work. And I thought, oh, cool. That means that mine will work because my Mac is a 10.10. Well, then recently I showed them the contents of the Roblox installer thing, and for some reason then they said, we are aware of this issue and we are working on it swiftly or something like that. And then what do you know? They never respond to me again. So I have to message them myself and ask what's going on. And all of a sudden, they say that, oh, well, actually, Roblox doesn't work on Mac 10.10 anymore. Roblox can only work on 10.13 or higher. Sorry! So, like, they just led me on for 3 weeks, and then they even said something that gave me false hope, where they said, we are aware of this issue and we are going to fix it. And then all of a sudden, I message them again, and they're like, no, actually, F you. Roblox isn't working on your Mac anymore. And it's like, wow. A customer player for 14 years. And this is what I get. So that made this movie even worse. And I'm mentioning it because I never talk about it. And I have to mention it because it just makes this movie a million times harder to watch. Like, there's certain movies that are so good, you don't want to watch anything while you're watching them. There's other movies where you kind of have to watch them because you have to pay attention to the details. But then there's lots of movies like this, like Winter in the Blood, where if you're not playing a game, if you're not like playing with yourself or something that's actually interesting and fun to do, you're going to have a bad time with this movie. I mean, wow. But I will say, let's talk about some positives for a second. Let's be positive, because I don't want to be so mean to these indie movies, because indie movies are really hard to make, and I fully support people making indie movies because they're so much better than Hollywood movies nowadays. But this movie was actually pretty well made. It had some nice vintage it had a nice vintage feel to it, I guess. But now let's go back to the negatives, because that's what I'm best at. I should basically, I know that there's like, what's that, where's that guy? I know that there's a comic book character named Mr. Negative. Let's look him up, because, yeah, there he is. He's the Asian guy from the Spider-Man video game. Like, I feel like I should be Mr. Negative, because, like, that's what I'm really best at, because I, like, this, especially this movie, you're gonna see Mr. Negative come out. In fact, that's what I'm gonna say from now on. I'm gonna say Mr. Negative is coming out in this video. And so, anyways, one of the biggest problems with this shitstorm of a movie is, and it really is a shitstorm, that's for sure. One of the biggest problems is there's lots of random shots that cut into the main story, like, really randomly. And so, like, just out of nowhere, the main character, like, randomly walks into town holding this broken rifle in front of all these people in town, and they're scared of him. They think he's like a mass shooter or something, and he's carrying it around town, and it's just so strange. And then all of a sudden, he just takes it back to some random guy in the middle of nowhere to fix it, like, just out of nowhere, like, randomly. Cut, he's out of town. Oh, now he's taking it to this random guy. That's what this movie does to you. It just cuts. Oh, that's not happening anymore. He's over there now. Oh, now he's over there. Ooh, now he's over there. Oh, and it's like, there's literally nothing going on, though. Like, this movie has nothing going on in any way, except for this guy is sad, and he's a character, and you got to learn about his character, because it's a character study. And it's like, look, character studies can be good, but even in character studies, you have a story. And this movie doesn't have a story. It just has trash. This is one of those movies, too, where, like, it's all about how the main character just can't get over stuff the whole movie. Like, just the whole movie's about his personal hang-ups. And, a movie that I could kind of compare this to, which I will say this movie is actually okay, no, actually, I didn't like that one. Well, okay, let me tell you guys, there's this movie called Lucky, and it's all about this guy who's basically, like, waiting around to die, and it's Harry Dean Stanton, it's his last movie. He was a really, really good actor, and he wanted to make this movie. It's just so depressing, and it's exactly like this movie, though, where you just have a character, they go through random stuff, they're really aimless and sad, and they drink a lot, blah, 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 and then they die, or they don't die, in Winter in the Blood's case, at the end, he just, like, he just walks off, and then it cuts randomly to a flashback of him and his brother as teenagers, and they do a freeze frame. Yes, this movie ends on a freeze frame. That was also very bizarre. I don't know why in hell, out of all the movies, this movie ends on a freeze frame of a random flashback that the whole movie, there's tons of flashbacks of the main guy and his younger brother, and you wonder the whole movie, where's his brother? Well, apparently he died. So that's just like another kind of predictable thing of, like, we're having these flashbacks of these characters, and one of them isn't around anymore. I wonder what happened to them. And then at the end, it's revealed they died. Like, that is so predictable. It's so cliche. And, I didn't know if they thought that was going to be a big surprise and a big reveal, but, the only big reveal was, like, I didn't even know what I was going to say there, so I'm not even going to continue. And then the main guy, he has a lot of really bad quotes, too. One of his really bad quotes is he says, "I found myself entering the shadow world of white people again." And then what he does after this is he sleeps with this random white woman who's at this bar. She's like a waitress or something. Or no, she's a dancer. Whatever. Yeah, her character's kind of irrelevant to the movie. She's just kind of like a cum dumpster for the main character of sorts. And then after he sleeps with her, and he goes into this woman's kitchen, and he sees her son eating cereal, and then all of a sudden it cuts, and he's randomly at a diner, and he says, "I realized I hadn't eaten in days." Like, just really, really bad. And what makes this quote even worse is the fact that when he's in this diner, he doesn't eat anything at all. He is drinking coffee. So out of nowhere, it's just like, "I realized I hadn't eaten anything in days." Like, just terrible, terrible, terrible. And then, like, in the next scene, though, he is eating, like, a piece of pie or something. But that was really strange. Like, could you imagine that, too? Like, even if you're really sad, like, let's just say, for me, like, let's say, like, I don't know, if my co-star, if she was hit by a car, and there's no way that she's making it out alive of that car accident scene. Well, let's just say this. Look, I would not be at the point of where 5 days later I would be like, "I realize I haven't eaten in these past 5 days." Like, are you kidding me? Like, even if you're really, really sad, you're still going to be hungry, or you're still going to at least think about being hungry because of the hunger pains. You know, I've tried that kind of thing before, too, of, like, fasting, intermittent fasting. You really, really feel it, that's for sure. You feel it. You're not to where it's 5 days later and you're like, "I realized I haven't even eaten in these past 5 days." Like, no, fuck off with that shit. So then Lily enters the movie, and obviously she is the best thing about it. Once again, she's the only reason to watch this crap. Which, I'll also say that this movie is based on a book. I've heard that the book is better, and I'm just kind of sick of that, too, of where we see these movies, and then everyone says the book is better, and it just makes me think, like, either the book isn't really better, or people really suck at adapting books. So there's this whole plot that I won't even get into, because it's not even worth the time. There's like a failed drug deal or something with this guy, and then the main guy, and then these guys come after them, and there's this really bizarre fight sequence where the main character runs away, and then the other guy, he's going to fight these two bad guys. Well, of course, they're all bad, but he's going to fight these two bad guys, and one of the two guys has a gun. And when they start to fight, the guy with the gun starts charging for the guy that he wants to attack. So you realize how stupid that is? Somebody charging at someone with a gun? Like, you know, you have the gun so that you can shoot it. You don't have the gun so that you can run to someone with the gun. Like, the gun is you can shoot the guy. And instead, he runs up to him, and then I guess he shoots the air or something, and then they cut away because they probably didn't have the money to do the fight sequence realistically, or or anything, and it's just, I don't know, I don't even fucking care. This fucking movie sucks. At least I will say too, the actors who played the characters as kids were good. In the flashbacks, they did a good job. That's just, I really didn't care. This main character, he's boring and dull. He's so boring, people even call him boring to his face. And he's just like, yeah. Like, his basically his whole character is that he's always thirsty. And by always thirsty, I mean, like, that's his whole character. And it's like, sorry, that's not a character. That's just fucking stupid. This isn't Otis Campbell from the Andy Griffith Show. Like, Otis fucking Campbell was better than this shit. Like, what the fuck? And then randomly, the main guy tells the police about what happened or something. I don't even know. They don't even explain or anything. It's just, ugh, this movie. And let me tell you guys, this at this point, this movie was only an hour and 10 minutes in. There was still like 40 minutes left of this crap. And so he tells the police, and then they arrest the guy. And, the guy, he was using this bear to put drugs in it. I've never seen that before, the stuffed animal. Well, the police are like, no, we're taking that as evidence. But then somehow, the main guy is able to persuade the police to give him back this bear that obviously has drugs in it. And he just tosses it to that white woman from earlier that he slept with and her son, and they walk off into the sunset. Like, what was up with that? What was up with that? And what was even stupider? The two guys who were fighting with that guy who got arrested and somehow he's not even injured or anything. Well, guess what? Those two guys are standing in the crowd watching this scene unfold, and there's nothing being done. Like, there's these two bad guys, they're just standing, and then the main character's like, and those two guys, just as mysteriously as they came onto screen, they poofed and went away off the screen to go do something else. And by the way, this is the way the main character talked. He kind of sounded like Matthew McConaughey if he was a Native American. And he was narrating the entire movie like this. And people would call him boring. And he would say, I know, I understand why you left me. I'm a whiny widow baby, and I am mad that I am a half-breed. Because that's another thing, is that this character, he's not even a full Native American, he's a half-breed. And that's like his main character struggle in this movie too, is that like, he is a half-breed. Like, for some reason, like, I don't understand. That's not an actual character struggle. Unless it's, like, back in the 70s, which this movie is back in the 70s. So it's really sad that, like, the story couldn't have been told well. Just like the Jimmy P movie. It's another movie that could have been really good, but was executed in a very poor way. In terms of the story structure, the script, the acting for the main character, like, it's very dull and boring in its execution. But I just have to say, like, what happened to those people in that fight? Like, those two guys didn't just want to hurt that guy, they wanted to kill him. One of them was running at him with his gun. It wasn't just like a little fight, it was a battle to the death. And why all of a sudden did those people just randomly split up? How did they get the bear off the rooftop? Because, by the way, the main guy, he threw the bear up on the roof so no one could get it. On the roof of this building. So how did they get it? Like, why don't they explain these things? Why don't they just... instead of just cutting around and just, oh, let's randomly cut here, and then this random thing happens, and then let's randomly cut there, and then that randomly happens. It's like, nobody wants that. And so then the main guy meets up with Lily again. And Lily, in this movie, yum, 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 yum. That's all I'm going to say. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. You know why? Because in this movie, you get to see Lily's nipple action. And let me tell you something. I'm usually not a big fan of the nipples. But in this case, like, I think that Lily might have some of the best nipples that I've ever seen. Like, usually, like, I don't know, like, because I really like specific nipple styles. Like, I like the kinds with, like, the pointy ends. You know, that's kind of like candy corn. You can go yum, 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 yum. You know, I like those. And then I like the ones that are nice, like, you're just like, they're kind of like perfectly like round. They're just kind of like, they're just kind of like little pepperonis. They're kind of like little pepperonis. And Lily has the pepperoni. She's got the pepperonis on her boobs. And so I thought that, you know what? This movie was worth watching just for that alone. There's no other reason to watch this shitty movie, okay? The only reason to watch this movie is to get a peek at those knockers, to get a peek at those fun bags. And like they are beautiful. They were made by a higher power because he knew that he could make something beautiful, and he decided that he's going to make them on Lily Gladstone. Yeah. So, and I'm not drunk, by the way. I'm just really, really bored talking about this boring, shitty movie. And so I will kind of resemble a drunken person because that's what happens. When I get bored, I get really, really frustrated like this. So the main guy, he does something really strange though, where he's with Lily in this room. It's like a weird room. It looks like a wood shed or something. I don't know. It's a weird room. I don't even know what it is. Like it's not even like a motel room or anything. It's just like a wooden room or something. And it's like they're there in the wooden room. You know, the wooden room that we didn't even have any establishing shot for, you know. And so she just wants to talk. She's like, can we just talk? Can we just talk? And you know what the main guy does? He ignores her, and he doesn't talk to her at all. Instead, he opens up her shirt, and he starts snuggling with her belly. And I'm not kidding you. Like, he's caressing her belly. He's holding it like it's some sort of a like it's Indiana Jones's new treasure that he's found or something, and he's like kissing her belly, and he's smelling it and shit, and it's like he's got some sort of a weird belly fetish. He's got a weird like stomach, like he's really attracted to her belly button. And you know what it reminded me of was The Room. Because you know as well as I do, this character, he's a sad guy. He's a half-breed, so he's really sad. And he probably was like, he had sex with her belly button for sure. You know, just like Tommy Wiseau in The Room. You know, this guy did that to Lily probably. I mean, come on. He didn't do sex right, that's for sure. You know, he probably couldn't figure it out. So, because he's so sad. He's so sad. His character's so sad. Wah! My wife left me. Wah! My dad died some years ago. Wah! My brother also died some years ago. Wah! And it's like, but it's just, I don't care. I really don't care. Like, you need a character, like, beyond that. You need some sort of a story or something, because I'm so fucking bored, and I don't care about your stupid personal hang-ups. So after sex, if the belly button thing wasn't bad enough, the main guy slaps Lily for no reason and then just holds her down for like 5 minutes. And it's so weird. It's like, what is he doing? And then the camera shows her nipples, and I was like, oh, I know what they're doing. Or I don't know. I mean, that's the only reason, because like I don't even see what he was doing there. Like, he's just holding her down, and it like, what is going on? And then after this whole kababble with her and him, I just made that word up, kababble, so suck on that. That's going to be a main word that we use on this channel. The main guy leaves her, and she's just like, can't we talk? Can't you come back, and can't we talk together? I just want to talk to you. I'm like, why won't you talk to Lily? Why won't you stay and talk with Lily? Like, come on. Like, because this character, you know what I would do? I'm going to tell you something, Marlene, because that's the character in this movie. Marlene, I will talk to you and talk to you and talk to you for long hours in between our sessions of 69ing and other activities. Okay, like, I swear I will talk to you however much you want. You don't have to wait for the half-breed to come back. The half-breed character who's so uninteresting that other characters tell him that he's boring and dumb. Like, usually in a movie where a character is called boring, he's either a bad guy, and, you know, he's obviously not boring because he's a bad guy, or the guy proves throughout the movie, through his actions, that he's not a boring guy. But instead, in this movie, the main guy continues to be really, really boring. To prove you this, right after he leaves Lily all alone, I mean, seriously? That's what you're going to do to her? Just, how dare he? And they expect me to like his character, too. Like, they expect me to sympathize with him after you leave Lily like that. So, randomly, this main guy, he wanders around for like 5 minutes to gather choke cherries for his grandmother. And so, at this point, I was so fed up. I was fast-forwarding through the movie because I was so tired of this crap. And then he goes back to the grandmother's house, and guess what happens, guys? Whoops, she died off the camera, too. So, you know, another, like, oh no, it's another personal hang-up that this guy is going to have, and he's never going to get over it, oh no. And he's just going to be sad. Like, you know, I don't know what that was, sorry. I don't know what the fuck that was. But there's this one movie, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a very, very popular 80s movie. And I'm going to look it up because, okay, 80s movie, it had Jeff Goldblum, and it was all about mourning people, and it was all about, like, these people meeting up again. Oh, The Big Chill. And, like, that's what this movie was kind of like, and The Big Chill was one of those movies, by the way, where I tried to watch it, I tried to get into it, and I was just so bored, I gave up on it like 40 minutes in. Like, I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, it was so meaningless and boring. There was nothing about it that was speaking to me at all. And so it's one of those movies that it didn't even end up on my old movies list because I was so not interested in even talking about it. I turned it off, and that's what this movie's kind of like. So if you like The Big Chill, this is kind of like a shitty version of The Big Chill, which The Big Chill is already shitty to me. So then, the main guy, he hangs out with a random old man again, and he discovers through conversation that this random old man is actually his grandfather, and he is not actually a half-breed. So one of these hang-ups that he's had the whole movie and his whole life is not actually even true. And if you're wondering why he never knew, it's because this was another situation where he was the product of a cum dumpster. His mother, she slept with so many guys, white, black, Indian, Native American, probably some aliens jumped in there too, you know. And so just like with that Winona Ryder movie, you know, he finds out he's the product of a cum dumpster. And so people around town are just calling him a half-breed to be jerks. And so, like, that was kind of random and stupid. Just, I hate this movie. I can't wait to stop talking about it. And there's a lot of times in this movie, too, where people slow motion walk away from the camera and the main character. You know, kind of like in those true crime documentaries where characters who are very integral to the plot, they do something really important, and then they walk away from the camera in slow motion, and then it goes into freeze frame or something. You know, that's kind of like what happens in this movie. It's just, it happens all the time. And then the main character, basically the climax of the movie is he has a horse try to pull I think it's a goat. I couldn't really tell. Like, I don't really know the animals very well. You know, maybe it wasn't a sheep. Maybe it was a goat, or no, it wasn't a donkey, but it was probably a goat. It would have been funny if the goat was all of a sudden like, "Hey, grandson! It's your grandmother! I just came back as a goat! What's going on?" And he's just like, I am so boring and dumb that I'm now hallucinating that the goat is actually my grandmother reincarnated. You know, like, that's what I expected. That's what would have been more entertaining than what happens next. So he gets really angry and frustrated that this horse can't pull this goat out of a mud hole. So first off, the main character is going to shoot the goat because he's so frustrated that the goat won't get out of the hole. But he's too cowardly to do that. And it mirrors a flashback from earlier in the movie where he was too cowardly to finish off a bird that he shot with his brother. And so then what he starts to do is he starts to try to kill himself. But then he's too cowardly to kill himself. So then he finally just says, well, fuck it. I'm just going to go do what I was originally trying to do over here in this bitch, and I'm going to get the goat out of the hole. And so then he gets the horse to get the goat out, and it's like, wow, that was really something. That's the climax of this movie, guys. Like, I really wonder if the book was good. Because this is another situation like Don't Make Waves, Jimmy P. Wasn't that based on a book too? Where it's like, was the book really, really good? Because I really think that, like, these filmmakers who, like, read a book and they really like it and then they make a crappy movie out of it, they should be charged with, like, a misdemeanor or something. Because, like, at this point, like, there's no excuse. Like, how easy would it have been to make a movie about a guy who's sad? Like, like, how easy would that be to point a camera at a guy and he makes sad faces and he's really sad? Like, Wouldn't that be really, really simple? Like one of the most basic stories that you can tell, like along with like Hallmark movies and stupid shit like that. Like, and somehow they fucked that up with their terrible story structure and their terrible execution. So the last scene of the movie before the weird flashback freeze frame is they're having the funeral for the grandmother, and the grandmother's coffin won't fit in this hole. So the stepfather, who, you know, he was a guy who died last year, and I had never seen any movie of his, and so this was my first movie of his that I've seen. So that was kind of fun. He was actually okay. But he starts stomping on the grandmother's coffin until it kind of like fits in the hole. And I thought that was kind of funny and stupid. And then they give speeches, and it's like, yeah, who really cares about this crap? And then we see the flashback and the freeze frame. And I can't believe that I've spent 40 minutes talking about a movie where literally nothing happened. I mean, that just shows that I could really talk about anything for as long as I really need to, because like I am shocked that this review lasted 40 something minutes. So in terms of food, I would give this movie, and I thought about this review as I was watching it, and it was perfect. You know, we had salmon patties again, and I decided, though, to give this movie a salmon grade, but not salmon patties this time. I decided to go back to Olive Garden. Well, go back in my head, not go back in person, because their food is a little bit overpriced and a little too rich. It's very, very rich. Like, it really... It's a lot of food that they give you, and it's very, very, like... It has a lot of calories, even for me. I really love their chicken gnocchi soup, though. But this movie is like the Olive Garden salmon with broccoli. Because there was one time we went there, and I got Olive Garden salmon with broccoli and chicken gnocchi soup with their bread that they give you. And it was really funny because I was expecting to really love the salmon and broccoli and then not like the gnocchi soup. But what ended up happening is that I really loved the chicken gnocchi soup with the bread, the really good garlic bread or whatever it was, the breadstick thing. That was really delicious, and that would be Lily's character, Marlene. You know, she was the only good thing about the movie, as usual. But then the salmon was terrible. The salmon was... It clearly tasted like it came out of a farm in, like, New York or something. You know, like, have you ever been to a New York farm? I haven't either. You know, and that's where this tastes like it came from, because it was so boring. It was so bad. It was so farm-raised tasting. You know, usually farm-raised fish, sometimes you really can't tell the difference. And, you know, one of the times was back years and years ago. I used to get steelhead trout a lot because I really loved it. But then I saw that apparently the whole time I had been getting farm-raised fish and eating it. And I was just shocked because it really didn't taste farm-raised. And in this case, though, you could tell that this salmon was not good. And honestly, I don't know who would order salmon at Olive Garden. Like, that is kind of an idiotic thing to do. So I fully acknowledge that. And then the broccoli, it was not fully cooked. The pieces were, like, really thick and chunky. So, like, they were, like, these huge pieces of broccoli that were hardly even cooked. So, yeah, that was terrible. It was really, really terrible. I still ate all the salmon, though, anyway, because, you know, I'm a salmon guy. And then I ate the soup. And the soup was basically my main course. You know, the soup was the entree along with that bread. And I really love that part of the meal, but I hated the main part, which was supposed to be the entree, and that's really bad. You know, you should not go to a place and really love the appetizer but hate the entree. That's terrible. So anyways, please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought of Winter in the Blood, because well, actually, I don't even know if anyone else will even watch this video because, like, who even cares about this movie? Like, go read the book, I guess, because this book came out in the 70s, so it was probably really good. And, yeah, go read the book. Go read a book. And so then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest reviews like this. If you'd like to see me talk about pepperoni tits more. And by the way, like, I should have clarified, because I know that when people say pepperoni tits or pepperoni nipples, that they talk about, like, the big, huge nipples that are, like, really, really big. And I like those too. But Lily's nipples, they're like little mini pepperonis. You know, like they're kind of like the size of a quarter. But they're still like, you know, beautiful little pepperonis that I just like to just like to nibble on, like candy corn, and say, I'm so glad I watched this movie just for that, and spent $4 fucking dollars to rent this movie. $4 whole dollars. What a waste. I could have spent that money on something better, like a candy bar or something, but instead I watched this shitty movie and reviewed it, and probably no one will even care. So anyways, goodbye everybody. See you soon.